Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ken. I've noticed as the sun has come down a little, people getting a little cold. Try not to go that long, but you're a hearty bunch in St. Cloud. And I have had so much fun here seeing these fantastic candidates, Dan and Eric. And let's, by the way, also add to this Joe Persky in that incredibly important race right there. I was out door knocking, or we did a door knock, and it was really, he was just incredibly enthusiastic. I mean, that guy is like running circles around his opponent as far as I can see. And then Ian, thank you so much for your service. We're excited for your campaign. Go for it. It's very good. You're doing great. And I also want to mention, well, I thought I'd introduce Ian before my husband. But my husband is here, John Bessler, in his University of Minnesota suit. He's good, and we have been having a great time out on the bus. Just enthusiastic crowds wherever we are, every corner of the state. And part of that has to do with our great team, Julie Blaha, who started this morning. We were at a rally at 8:30 in the morning. Okay, whoa, good idea. 8:30 in the morning, and Julie had them cheering for better data. Yay! And all day she has not used that line again. So I really want to hear it again, but
Alexandra, it's on.
Okay, you do that, man. You do that. Okay. And Steve Simon, I love going around the country and saying that Minnesota has the highest voter turnout because we have not only the best laws for voter registration, but the best Secretary of State, Steve Simon. And of course, we want Melissa to be our next speaker, and we will call her Madam Speaker. We need another woman Speaker of the House. We want to see that. And then Peggy Flanagan. What an amazing Penny. We've been just having too much fun. I was going to say Peggy Pladigan with the plaid. You see, it's a plaid again, and she is wearing, my husband likes puns, and he really liked that. But really, her spirit is just, you can just feel it all over the state. And Tim, when I hear about states talking about rural-urban divides, you know, in St. Cloud, it's not easy. You got different issues. You got different people voting differently. But I've always believed in the heart of our state, and I think, you know, that's where I go, not just where it's comfortable, but where it's uncomfortable, right? Where I go to all 87 counties. And Tim and Peggy picked the one Minnesota long before we knew about the horrors of last week, right? But they saw the beginnings of that. They saw this last year and what we've been living through with divisive language, Donald Trump going down every single rabbit hole. And they said, no, we're not going to stand for that. We're going to stand for bringing people together, one Minnesota, and how timely it is. I was thinking about that, how every single day the president seems to be playing to an audience, right? Cheers, jeers, whatever. Get people going, new idea out there, not really an idea, but just a new tweet that he puts out there. And what I think we have to think about is that this is a moment, not of having an audience, but it's a moment of citizenship, right? That is what we're dealing with right now. This election will be a moment of citizenship where people have to reach inside and do the right thing. And that's why, greater than fear, we're asking you to go around and talk to people, especially in this area, not just Democrats, but independents and moderate Republicans, and explain to them how important this is. Yes, to preserve our democracy, but also to make sure that we elect a team that has an optimistic economic agenda for this country that leaves no one behind. That is what the DFL is about in this election. Because when I go door to door, people aren't really asking about Russia, as important as that is, right? I've done a lot of work in that area. No, they're asking about, well, how come a millionaire can refinance their yacht and I can't refinance my student loan, right? That's what they're asking. They're asking, well, how come Canada, the prices of the pharmaceuticals there are twice a half of what they are in the U.S. That's a fact. That's where we are right now. Why can't we give our 41 million seniors the right to negotiate Medicare drug prices? As far as I see, they have enough leverage to do that. And you have on the other side this administration that's trying to kick people off for pre-existing conditions, right? Some of my colleagues in the Senate, when they go to groups like this, they say, raise your hand if you have a pre-existing condition. I always think that's kind of mean. No, don't do that. Because then everyone goes, oh, what do you have? What's wrong with you? No, I'm not going to ask you to do that. But I am asking you. You guys are just such an eager audience. I am asking you to stand with me and to stand with Ian, to stand with Tina Smith, our incredible senator, to make sure that we don't have a Congress that does that, because this is how close we are. The administration is down in Texas, arguing as we speak, arguing that they should be able to kick people off because of pre-existing conditions. So I want you to think of this moment in time as the sun comes out again. As this arc that we are on. And it started on Inauguration Day, and that was a dark, dark day. I sat in between Bernie Sanders and John McCain on that stage. And as a little side note, I took a photo of the three of us, which unfortunately went viral. Not unfortunately because of who was in it, because I miss Senator McCain very much. Unfortunately because the author of the piece that put the photo out said, woman takes selfie with Senator McCain and Senator Sanders. And the next day, it went all over the place with the words, this is why we march. Okay? And when I was in Owatonna with Dan Feehan, the next congressman for the 1st District, this last weekend, I met a woman from Owatonna who had seen that photo that day. And she had not been involved in politics one bit, hadn't done one thing ever, hadn't even hardly voted, nothing. She saw that photo, she got so mad, and the next day she drove to St. Paul and joined the Women's March at True Start. And then after that, she became one of the best volunteers for Dan Feehan in the 1st District. Okay, that is what happened. Okay, that was a dark day. But then you go to the next day. You had millions of people peacefully marching all over the country and in Minnesota. The day after that, 4,000 women signed up to run for office. And Terrell knows what this was like back when there was hardly any women in office at all. Well, right now in the Senate, thanks to Tina, thanks to all these incredible women we have there, we are up to 23 women in the United States Senate out of 100. Okay. However, exactly, I was on the Trevor Noah show, and I told him that in the history of the Senate, it is sad, there's been 2,000 men and 52 women. And he said, if a nightclub had that ratio, they'd have to shut down. Okay, so that is what we are dealing with. Okay, but that's what happened. On day three, 4,000 women. We are now up to 40,000 women that have signed up and run. And by the way the numbers are looking right now, with Angie Craig ahead in every single poll, with Ilhan, you know what's going to happen? Yeah. We are going to go from the day of Koya Knutson, where her husband writes that letter, Koya, come home, to a delegation. There's 10 of us, 8 in Congress, two of us in the Senate, that will be half women. Yeah. That is what we're going to get on election day in Minnesota. Okay, you keep going. On day 9, when that ill-fated, mean-spirited refugee order comes up, what happens? People show up at airports spontaneously, right, to protest. They show up at non-international airports that don't even have international flights. They did that. You move forward to day 100, my favorite march, the March for Science. Yay. This is St. Cloud University. Yes. My favorite sign, what do we want science? When do we want it? After peer review. Right. We go forward into the summer, where this moment in time where no one thought we were going to be able to uphold the Affordable Care Act, when the 48 fighting Democrats from Elizabeth Warren to Joe Manchin stood together in the Senate. Because we stood together unified, we were joined by 3 brave Republicans, and we defeated their attempt to repeal the Affordable Care Act. Then you go to the fall, where we won in these legislative races, just like these guys are going to do, where maybe no one predicted they were going to win it, but they did. And we won in places in Virginia. We won in places in New Jersey. My favorite one we won was a guy, the day of the Women's March, he said, I hope they'll be home in time to make dinner. That guy last fall was defeated by a woman. Okay? And then, in a victory for dignity and decency, Doug Jones won the Senate race in the state of Alabama. Okay? So if we can win in the state of Alabama, we can win in St. Cloud, Minnesota. All right? Okay. That is the arc that we are on, and it is ending in just 5 short days, right? And it's not an ending, it's a beginning. But that's the arc that we're on. We are on this arc of justice. We are on this arc of goodwill. We are no longer an audience. We are going to act as citizens. We no longer just want to wake up and read those tweets and say, what do we do? Because we're going to do something and we're going to vote. So that's what I'm asking you, to see this moment in time as not just a moment to overcome. It is a moment to shine, right? It's a moment to show the state what this Senate district and what this region is about to our state. It is a moment to show our country what Minnesota is about, because all eyes are on our state with those contested and it is a moment to show the world what America is about. So let's get it done. Thank you, everyone.